So I'm here for the first of our two-part interview, our exclusive with Speaker John Boehner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for being with us.
Chip, good to be with you.
So, some good news and bad news on the energy front today. The good news is the President is calling for increased production. The bad news is he's calling for it in Brazil.
I know, that's really, it's breathtaking. America's got lots of natural resources. We've got lots of oil reserves. We got lots of gas reserves. And Americans are wondering, well, why aren't we developing our own resources? And it's because of the policies that have been coming out of the bureaucracy and this administration preventing us from developing our natural resources and moving us toward a level of energy independence.
Do you think that he's just politically tone deaf on this issue? He doesn't realize how much $4 a gallon gas may hurt him, or, you know, there are some on the left who sort of believe that $5 to $7 a gallon gas will help achieve their utopia of seeing everybody ride horses and bicycles to work, right?
Well, no, he's in that category. He'd like to see the price of energy higher to open the pathway to more green energy. And I'm for green energy. I think most Republicans are. And we ought to do everything we can to develop these new sources of energy. But here in the short term, the next 5, 10, 20 years, we need real energy, and that's going to come from oil, it's going to come from natural gas, nuclear, and clean coal technology.
It's interesting that you mentioned nuclear given recent global events. Realistically, how far back do you believe nuclear may have been set, given the recent tsunami and the earthquake in Japan?
Well, I think it's a little early to determine that. I think we need to find out what happened, why it happened, what our risk is. But I don't think it's time to just turn off nuclear energy like we did after 3 Mile Island 30 years ago. When you look at France, and 82% of their electricity comes from nuclear energy,
right,
and you look at their facilities, they're doing fine. When you look at the 104 nuclear facilities in the United States, they're doing fine. But let's learn the lessons out of what happened in Japan. Make sure that we're taking less risk. But let's not take our eye off the ball. Nuclear energy is a clean source of energy that needs to be developed in a safe way.
At the same time, you just recently, you being the House Republicans, launched an initiative speaking to the broad swath of energy alternatives called the American Energy Initiative. Can you speak to that for a moment, Mr. Speaker?
Well, it consists of a number of parts. One, it's our all-of-the-above energy policy. Let's have more oil and gas exploration. Let's use most of the royalties to help develop alternative sources of energy. But it's clean coal technology, it's nuclear energy. In addition to that, let's look at what the administration is doing that's stopping the development of our natural resources. And if you look at the EPA, you look at the rest of these government agencies, they're doing everything they can to put a moratorium in the Gulf, to make sure that we can't drill in Alaska,
right,
to make sure there's no development in the Intermountain West. There are policies coming out of this administration that are causing the price of energy to skyrocket. We need to expose this and hold them accountable for what they're doing.
Speaking, the last question here, to 2012 and the importance of seeing a Republican regain the White House from the standpoint of needing to develop energy on all fronts, hopefully to repeal Obamacare, et cetera. I just feel, isn't it hard to imagine that he thinks he can get reelected with energy prices at this level? And don't you think we should maybe change the narrative? Well, a lot of people on the Republican side seem to be trying to adjust expectations and saying, oh, he's still going to be difficult to beat. Will he, if oil or if gas is at $4 plus per barrel, or will the American people reject him like they rejected his Congress?
Well, I believe that if gasoline's at $4 or $5 a gallon, I don't see how he can win. I think that if people continue to feel the way they do about Obamacare, I don't know that he can win on that one issue alone. And then thirdly, unless people feel much better about the economy than they do today, I don't know how he wins. And so I think there are a lot of challenges that face our country. Republicans are prepared to deal with all of them head on, and let the chips fall where they may come the 2012 election cycle.
Well, thanks again for speaking with us. Again, we're speaking with, of course, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. John Boehner. Stay tuned for part 2 tomorrow.